Haddock then unzips each of his gun-filled suitcases. He takes out each rifle one by one.
There is not a single thing on this earth for you to need this much amount of guns. You was not going to war, buddy. What's good, YouTube? Today we're gonna be looking at the worst mass shootings in history. Yup, this is unfortunate. I want to see the most horrendous shootings in history. And while we're at it, we're gonna shame the people who did it. RIP to all the victims. Without further ado, let's get started.
These are some of the most devastating mass shootings in history.
Damn.
And we're starting off with none other than the Las Vegas shooting. A night of celebration turned to tragedy as thousands of bullets rained down into a crowd of innocent.
I feel like the worst place to be when there's an active shooter has to be at a concert, bro. That's when the loud music is playing. That's when everybody's getting giddy and stuff, and nobody's really thinking to themselves that there's someone that's gunning people down.
People. October 1st, 2017.
What happened?
Over 22,000 people are in attendance for the Route 91 Harvest Festival, a 3-day country music festival that took place on the Las Vegas Strip in Paradise, Nevada. It was a night intended for fun, singing, dancing, and socializing.
Yeah.
You know, a typical concert. Thousands of people stand tightly packed together in the festival crowd.
And then imagine the people that went to these concerts, right, with their friends just trying to have fun, like, oh, today is gonna be an amazing night. Just to find out that it could potentially be the last day they ever live. That's actually a depressing thought. RIP, man.
Enjoying themselves and listening to the music. But at 10:05 p.m., a day that most concert goers would describe as a dream suddenly turned into their worst nightmare. They were completely unaware of the tragedies that were about to unfold. Out of nowhere, loud and rapid popping noises erupt, overpowering the country singer on the stage's voice in an instant. The singing of the crowd immediately turns into shrieks and screams of terror. People began to run around frantically, worrying that the noises were gunshots.
And I feel like it's hard to locate who the threat is when there's just numerous amount of people just stomping over other people, just running. How do you know who it is? Especially if, let's say, they were not using a big rifle or whatnot.
And unfortunately, they were right. Most people tried to de-escalate the situation, assuming it was just a firecracker or fireworks, or something of that nature. In many of the videos recorded from the event, people can be heard yelling out things like, "Don't worry, it's just fireworks."
It's fireworks! It's fireworks! Stop!
Oh my goodness. And then there's people spreading misinformation. What? And then I'm thinking, yo, because this is a concert, like a super big concert, there's probably kids in attendance. That's so scary.
It's fireworks! It's fireworks!
But these people should be worrying. They should be running for safety because it was about to happen all over again.
Oh my goodness.
Another set of loud popping noises fills the air. This time, people became even more suspicious of the fact that they could be in danger. The concert venue breaks out into a complete chaos. People push and shove each other as they try to sprint away from the area.
And either way, who's playing fireworks at a concert? I feel like you gotta take every situation serious. I would assume that the person performing or one of the entourage that is up there could spot who it is from afar, but who knows? It does look like a dark venue.
Bodies start dropping within the crowd of people.
Damn,
Injured
RIP.
victims fall to the ground, screaming in pain as they're unable to move. The blood of the wounded splatters onto the people around them as the others, in a desperate attempt to help, frantically move lifeless bodies trying to save any sign of life. At this point, the reality of the situation kicks in.
Shout out to all the people that actually stopped what they were doing to try to help the people that got injured, because that takes a lot of guts. For you to know that you could have ran and just went off and instantly survived, but to actually stop and be like, hold on, no one's gonna attend to this person, I might as well do it. Shout out to them.
Their worst fears are true. Now everyone knows what the sounds were. Rapid gunfire. Those who could still run and rush over to cover themselves from the gunshots. Absolutely horrified, they hide behind barricades, walls, cars, literally anything. People throw their bodies over their injured loved ones to shield them from the gunshots. The only issue is no one knows where the shots were coming from. They could be coming from any direction. Between the echoing screams and the police sirens all around, it was impossible to tell. The gunfire seemed to be...
And then it gotta be hard for the dispatch to like really realize who it is unless that person actually is shown with the weapon. He could easily blend in and then just run. Like if no one has surveillance or no one actually seen who it was, it's gonna be difficult.
Never ending. More and more people scream as they are struck by the bullets.
Damn.
Blood stains the ground around the final resting spots of some unfortunate victims.
R.I.P.
Dead bodies appear in the venue, on the street, and in surrounding areas.
Damn.
And people had to make a tough decision. Either leave their loved ones dead and bleeding out, or save themselves. Boxheads, it's an impossible situation to be in. Man, these poor people just wanted to enjoy a concert and now their lives are traumatized forever. Anyways, when the police had arrived just a few minutes into the attack, they were met with complete chaos. They knew just as much about the shooter as the concert goers. So basically nothing. Confused and honestly unsure what to do, they rushed over to any injured victims they saw and acted as paramedics. There wasn't enough medical help or paramedics to go around for the hundreds of injured people.
And I feel like for you to specifically target a concert, you had to know that was probably where you were gonna get the most people you ever seen at one area. That gotta be scary. What was the security doing? I know the venue is big, but regardless of that matter, if there's that much amount of people targeted in one place, the least you could do is actually make everyone go through metal detectors or whatnot. Granted, I don't know how the venue looks.
Just 10 minutes later, at 10:15 p.m., over 1,000 rounds of bullets later, the shooting had finally come to a stop. This inhumane and disgusting attack led to the immediate deaths of 58 people. Two people died from health complications as a result from their injuries a few years later. And guys, 413 people were injured by gunfire. And 867 had sustained non-gunshot injuries as a result of the absolute chaos that ensued that night.
Oh my goodness, and you have an officer himself? Yo, RIP to all the victims. Dude, that is a lot of people.
But wait, this story isn't over yet. You're probably wondering who the hell was behind this shooting.
Who?
Well, let's meet the evil gunman himself.
Oh my goodness, bro. It's always the chop people that have it against the world, bro. You do not gotta take it out on the world that your hairline look like this, bro. Do you know how bad you have to be balding for your eyebrows to be missing as well?
64-year-old Stephen Paddock, a man from Mesquite, Nevada, who was described by his family as non-violent and quiet.
That was probably the worst detailing of someone that you could ever have.
Security camera footage within the building actually captured the timeline of the events leading up to this killer's ruthless attack. Paddock had spent the day before his attack gambling, laughing, and enjoying his stay in the Mandalay Bay. But it also captures something more eye-catching.
What?
In the footage, he can be seen bringing up suitcase after suitcase to his room on the 32nd floor of the, Mandalay Bay. And no, it wasn't just a normal amount of luggage. He had so many bags that he had to take multiple trips up elevators just to get it all into his room.
I don't understand. What do you gain? Even if you want this to be your last day on Earth, what do you gain from taking other people with you? Is it like, my life is terrible, let me take everyone else with me? What did that accomplish to your life? What, you want to be known? You're going to be known for all the dumbest things in the world.
Fast forward to about 9:20 p.m. on the night of the attack, October 1st. Paddock had barricaded himself within two connecting rooms on the 32nd floor, a 480-foot tall building that provided him with the perfect vantage point of the festival below. In these rooms, Paddock had stashed and prepared 24 firearms. That's what all the luggage was for. Suitcases filled with mostly assault rifles and thousands of rounds of ammunition.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so it wasn't even the security's fault. How was he able to stash this much guns from Nevada to here? And I'm thinking like, damn, so people don't even know where the shots are coming from.
He even rigged a food service cart with security cameras. He put the cart outside of the room down the hallway and relayed the footage through a screen in his room. This way he could keep an eye out for anyone who might be on their way to stop his attack. Paddock then unzips each of his gun-filled suitcases. He takes out each rifle one by one and scatters them across various spots in the room.
I'm sorry, I feel like you shouldn't even be able to be purchasing this much guns, bro. There's got to be a cap on how much guns you should be able to buy before the police actually start searching you. There is not a single thing on this earth for you to need this much amount of guns. You is not going to war, buddy.
Or should I say rooms. Around 10 p.m., Paddock is just about ready to start his attack. He takes a sledgehammer and shatters a window in each of the rooms. At 10:05 p.m., he grabs an assault rifle, props it up against the broken glass, seconds, and then lifts the weapon to his eye line. Taking aim at the crowd below, he squeezes the trigger, unleashing bullets on the helpless victims beneath him. After Paddock had begun shooting, a security guard and engineer who worked in the building went upstairs to investigate the shot.
Hold on, yeah, if there's anyone that could actually like hear where the shots are coming from, it's the people that are in the building. Like, I would assume that you would have people just swarm in and just boom, just start taking care of them. Y'all waited until he had 1,000 rounds to do something?
And when they reached the 32nd floor, you'd think for sure Paddock was about to be caught, right? Well, the security guard and engineer were caught on the cameras, so Paddock knew they were coming. Remember the food service cart? He saw them through the camera feed, went out of his room, and fired at them from across the hallway. The security guard called for backup and informed the police that they had found the location of the shooter. With this information, a SWAT team is sent into the building to take out the killer. They quickly make their way up to the 32nd floor. Once they arrive, they kick down doors and hurry into the other rooms on the floor, informing the residents of the danger and getting them to safety. At approximately 11:20 p.m., after about an hour of clearing rooms and preparing to breach, a SWAT team finally makes an effort to enter Paddock's locked room. They place an explosive on the outside of the room. They stand a safe distance away and then they enter the room to find Stephen Paddock in a pool of blood, dead on the floor by a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
You're such a loser, bro. I hate when people take their pain out on the world and then they want to also get themselves like, you couldn't have done that way before you ended all the innocent victims with families that actually wanted to have fun. That's so selfish.
This man took the lives of nearly 60 people, but instead of giving the families of the victims answers, he took the easy way out. The absolute horror of this night was finally concluded as an officer radioed, "Suspect down." Unfortunately, because of his suicide, we will never actually know the true motive behind Stephen's heinous, disgusting actions. All we know is that October 1st, 2017 would be a day of memorial and remembered in history books for years to come, as it became the deadliest mass shooting by a lone gunman in US history. Next, we have the Orlando nightclub shooting. This next deadly shooting was a terrorist attack that took the lives of 49 people in a nightclub and injured even more.
Multiple people?
June 12th, 2016. It was Latin night at the Pulse nightclub, a popular venue for those among the LGBTQ community in Orlando, Florida. Over 320 people are in attendance for this very popular event. The air is filled with music, laughter, and just overall sounds of a good time. But
I'm not gonna lie, whether you support someone or not, that does not give you the privilege to be like, I hate you so much that I want to end you. If they're not bothering you, why do you want to bother them? Leave them be at the very least. But for you to take your pain out and say these people gotta go, you're crazy.
Unfortunately, this enjoyment here wouldn't last much longer. Everyone in that nightclub was about to experience something horrifying. Around 2 a.m., 29-year-old Omar Mateen was driving a rental van to the Pulse nightclub that night.
NYPD? This man works for the cops?
Or morning. He parks the van in the parking lot of a neighboring building. Mateen steps out of the vehicle and grabs two weapons, a semi-automatic rifle and a 9mm Glock 17 pistol. Armed with these weapons, Mateen makes his way to the entrance of the nightclub while wearing a black tactical vest. He reaches an entrance of the building and walks in unnoticed, able to somehow blend in with the hundreds of people in attendance. Mateen, still without being spotted, makes his way to the center floor section of the Pulse nightclub. Within the crowd, he grips one of his firearms and raises the rifle, and begins firing into the crowd of the innocents around him. Bullets ring out in all directions as Mateen aims for anyone he sees. Screams of terror echo as blood splatters within the nightclub. Bodies drop to the floor and are left in a pool of blood. A fun, energetic, and seemingly safe area just moments ago has turned into a complete massacre. In a complete panic, the club attendees sprint to safety. They rush to the exits or duck behind any cover they could find. And remember this next part because it becomes very important to the story. Some of the victims run to the club bathrooms in an effort to hide from the shooter. Officer Adam Guler, an off-duty Orlando police officer and security guard at the Pulse nightclub, had rushed to the scene when the gunshots first rang out. Gruler traded gunfire with Mateen from just outside the entrance of the building, diverting the shooter's attention from the helpless victims. Unfortunately though, Gruler was only armed with a pistol, while Mateen had much larger and more accurate
you're not
firearm.
winning that.
Gruler was forced to retreat from the gunfight and stepped away from the building.
Damn.
In a hurry, Gruler radios for assistance to any nearby officers. Within minutes, 2 SWAT officers arrived to the scene. They resumed the gunfight from outside of the building, yet again firing shots in Mateen's direction. Mateen, now realizing that he's outgunned, retreats from the entrance and back into the building. More and more police and SWAT presence arrive at the scene as the dreadful minutes go by.
Hold on, so did everyone escape the nightclub?
Some of the officers are able to enter the building through a broken window and continue to exchange fire with the suspect inside the building. Eventually at 2:05 a.m., Mateen falls back from the gunfire again and barricades himself in a bathroom of the nightclub. Unfortunately, there are plenty of people hiding inside of this bathroom. I can't even imagine the panic of these people as they watch the shooter enter the room. Mateen opened fire at several of the victims. Blood splatters everywhere as bodies drop and screams break out within the bathroom. Mateen, trying to keep control of the situation, decides to keep 5 to 8 of these people alive. Yeah, that's right, he was taking hostages as he locked himself in this bathroom.
You think they're gonna let you escape? You think they're gonna be like, oh, okay, you know what? You got some of the victims, we're gonna give you a flight out of the country. No, you're cooked.
Those who survived the shots would now be under the control of the shooter. Absolutely horrified, these hostages try their complete best to keep their composure as they wait around in the bathroom, unable to call or make too much noise. They must only text their loved ones and inform them of what's going on. One of the hostages, Eddie Justice, who later died to gunfire, sent the following text messages to his mother while in the bathroom. Mommy, I love you. In club, they shooting. Trap in bathroom.
Damn. I feel like as a parent, hearing that message at 2 in the morning from your son, not knowing that that's gonna be his last moment, RIP, man.
Call the police. Guys, this was absolutely heartbreaking to read. I can't even imagine myself being on the receiving end of those messages. At approximately 2:22 a.m., the shooter himself calls 911 from inside the bathroom. And unfortunately, it wasn't to give himself up. Instead, he was calling to let the police know that he was pledging his allegiance to ISIS. Mateen can be heard saying things like this in 3 calls to a 911 operator.
I pledge my allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi Hafidullah on behalf of the Islamic State.
No, stop. Like, I don't understand. I feel like in no religion is this okay. Stop insinuating that you're doing this for a religion or whatnot. I don't care what religion you believe in. God is not gonna allow that. You shouldn't be shooting innocent people up. You don't know where their life is gonna gravitate to. You don't know if they're gonna be the most amazing human being, whether they're gonna save 1,000 people, what they're gonna do. So for you to take it upon yourself to control someone's fate, God is not gonna forgive you. You're not gonna go to heaven. I'm sorry to tell you this, buddy. Newsflash, you're going to hell. I'm sorry.
Meanwhile, with the help of the police, most victims of the other areas of the club were able to escape and were met with medical help outside of the building. At this point, so many innocent people had been injured or worse, killed inside the Pulse nightclub because there were so many bodies on the dance floor. A rescuing police officer actually had to look down and say, if you're alive, raise your hand. Anyways, this situation is far from over. Over the next 2.5 hours, those poor hostages and remaining victims inside the nightclub were completely trapped. Each minute probably felt like an eternity as they huddled in the building, scared for their lives. Outside of the building, the SWAT team and police were doing everything they could. They were helping the escaped victims, trying to come up with ways of breaching the bathroom to eventually rescue the hostages. Now you're probably wondering why this was taking so long to do. Well, there is actually quite a reason for that. During those 2.5 hours, while on the call with 911, Mateen had made some serious threats. Threats about lots of explosives and bombs. He claimed that a car parked outside of the building was loaded with explosives, that he was wearing a bomb vest and that he was going to put bomb vests on 4 of his hostages. But this information, true or not, didn't stop the police from doing everything they could to save the lives within the building. They refused to let those poor, suffering people inside die. At around 5 a.m., the SWAT team decides to detonate an explosive on an outside wall of the nightclub in hopes that they could gain entrance to the barricaded bathroom. They detonate the explosive, but it was simply not strong enough to fully blow through the wall.
Oh no!
So they used an armored vehicle to ram the wall and hopefully create a big enough dent. The method of using the armored vehicles worked, but there was still an issue. The hole in the wall they created actually led to the hallway in the building. The SWAT team continues to create holes in the wall to hopefully pinpoint the exact location of the shooter and the hostages. While doing this, they are able to successfully retrieve about 30 more victims from different areas in the building. At approximately 5:15 a.m., SWAT is tearing down more of the walls with their armored vehicle. They are finally able to break a wall that leads to the inside of the bathroom. Flashbangs are thrown into the bathroom in an attempt to distract Mateen and take him down. And as a result, Mateen quickly leaves the bathroom and rushes into the hallway. At this point, with nowhere left to run, he decides to engage in the gunfire with the police. He raises his semi-automatic pistol and fires off a few rounds in the direction of nearly a dozen police officers outside. Thankfully, these would be the last bullets this mass murderer would ever fire. Because sometime after 5:53 a.m. on June 12th, 2016, Omar Mateen was finally killed by police gunfire at the Pulse nightclub.
What did you expect?
This nightmare was finally over. The remaining hostages ran out of the building and into safety. This unfortunate and deadly event will likely traumatize them for the rest of their lives.
I think the sad part about both of these circumstances is the simple fact that people were there to just try to have fun. They're trying to have fun. They're trying to get away from sadness and whatnot and what's going on in their personal lives just to have fun. Just for them to be in perhaps the worst event that they could ever endure in their life. That's crazy.
In the end, 49 people were killed on this horrible night. 50 if you include the shooter. 58 were injured. 53 from gunshot injuries and 5 injuries from other factors. And after a police investigation, it was discovered that all of the explosives that Mateen had mentioned on the 911 calls, well, they weren't real. The explosives on his tactical vest were actually fake. They were decoy explosives used for the sole purpose of frightening the hostages and the police. It can also be noted that they found no evidence of Omar Mateen actually working with ISIS for this attack. It was much more likely that he was just a lone wolf terrorist who wanted to kill as many people as possible to send a message.
Anyways, YouTube, that is the worst mass shootings in history. RIP to all the victims in this video. It's sad to know that even if you have fun, it could potentially be your end. To all the active shooters, you are a terrible person. Nobody's gonna miss you. If I see your grave, I'm spitting on it. To everyone, make sure you guys stay safe while you're having fun. Join us on Discord, catch us on Twitch. Make sure you guys subscribe. We're so close to 600K. Waxer for life. Love y'all.